Next time you feel behind, I want you to remember this. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Welcome to Inspiration Contagion, where we spread inspiration one story at a time. I am your host, Holly Jean Jackson. Each interview spotlights transformational business leaders, their stories, challenges, and advice for how you too can lead yourself and others through inspiration. Learn how you too can achieve peak performance, build more revenue, and lead the legacy you were meant to lead. We live in a world and a society where there's social media, there's stories and hype about the next successful person who launched a course, who's an amazing speaker, a best-selling author. The list goes on and on. There's all this noise and all this perfectionist look and appearance on social media that makes us think that everyone has it together. I have to tell you, after thousands of conversations with leaders around the world who appear to be successful and to have it together, got to tell you, there's a smoke screen here for most of us. And that's because social media, people are sharing the best of their life. They're sharing the things that they want to share publicly. They're not airing their dirty laundry. Why do I share this? Because as business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, authors, and speakers, it's so easy for us to fall into what I call compare and despair, and to think and believe that we are less than. I'm here to tell you, you are not less than. You are exactly where you're meant to be. And guess what? Your journey is so uniquely different than everyone else out there. So why on earth do we constantly find ourselves comparing to other folks' journey, experiences, successes? It's easy. We are constantly inundated with success story after success story, win after win, vacation after vacation. And great, it's wonderful to see and celebrate our community and what they're achieving, what they're doing. What you don't see behind that smoke screen is the couple who lost their child, the person who was just diagnosed with cancer, the business owner who is barely keeping it together and actually interviewing for jobs because their business isn't pulling it. You don't see that because that's not something that they want to share. There's all this hype around authenticity and vulnerability on social media and through marketing. I have to tell you, it's a very small percentage of individuals out there who walk that talk and share that publicly and vulnerably. And sure, there's an appropriate time and place for sharing specific messages, especially if it's really fresh and you haven't fully processed it. It's not really super smart to use your social media outlets as a therapy session. But there is an appropriate place and time to be authentic and vulnerable and to share candidly your experience, because ultimately that's how we grow together. If you look back in time, we shared stories around campfires. We shared our weaknesses. We shared the risks that we saw as a community so that we could stay safe and survive and thrive in communities, in tribes. We have lost that foundation. We have lost that touchstone and that touch point. These days, we're so focused on individuality that, of course, there's comparison because there's competition. Well, I'm here to tell you, there's not really competition. I want you to let that sink in. There's not competition. We are each uniquely positioned in our own journey, our own hero's journey. We have individual superpowers for what we do in business. And there's so many companies on this planet, so many speakers, authors, whoever your person is, there's plenty for all of us. There is not really competition. And that's really hard to let sink into your belief system, your thought process, how you show up when we live in a capitalistic society in the US, which as a global power affects the world. It's really hard to let that sink in. And it's really hard to live from a stance and a belief set of abundance and not compare to others when we live in that world. But guess what? The journey is so much sweeter. It's so much smoother. It's certainly so much more fun when you're able to release that roller coaster of looking at how somebody else launched their course, how somebody else has become successful and they hit 6 figures in their business or 8 figures, or they're a millionaire. What really matters to me, especially for you high achievers, I see you, I'm talking to you, you perfectionists or recovering perfectionists. I also see you. I hear you. I want you to hear and let this soak into your system. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. And perhaps you're in a season of struggle, or perhaps you feel like you're constantly in a season of struggle. I hear you. I have to tell you, whenever I am struggling with the next lesson in life or seeing a pattern, and I'll share it with somebody close to my community. And they're like, oh, this is life teaching you a lesson, or life allowing you a new mirror. I'm like, great. Can life please give me a break? I'm tired of learning. I'm tired of growing. And sure, I mean that in the moment because it's a big challenge. But ultimately, I love growing. But sure, growth can also feel tiring. It can feel exhausting. It can feel lonely. It can feel scary. It can feel overwhelming. All of these things. That's real. But ultimately, your journey and your growth is for you. It really is for you. So as you're on this growth journey and perhaps you're struggling right now, I want to remind you, when we look at, I love the metaphor of plants and trees, especially trees. If we look at trees and their life cycle, we plant a seed. It takes a while for those roots to form, for us to even see that something exists. It's growing below the surface. And then that tree kind of sprouts and we see a tiny little seedling of something. We're not even sure it's a tree yet, right? It's just some sort of thing growing. It could be a plant, it could be a fern. And then all of a sudden we see the bark grow on that tree, and we see that tree grow leaves, and we see that tree grow taller and taller, bigger, bigger, and has different circles in the bark. It has seasons where the leaves die. And you're like, is the tree still alive? Yes, it's very much alive. But the tree goes through these seasons, and the tree's roots are connected to other trees, and they communicate and support each other through each of the seasons, making sure if one tree is sick or suffering or going through a sales, as the metaphor, a sales slump, they're supporting each other communally through their root system, communicating how they can support one another and lift one another up. The tree also knows when it's time to rest for the winter as it loses its leaves and stay warm. The tree knows that when the spring comes, it's time to bloom and thrive and grow and be abundant. The tree knows in the fall, it's time to let go. We also have the same seasons and same cycles. We also have times where we're growing so much underneath the ground that we can't see it. We personally can't even see it. People around us, maybe they can see it even better because we're not aware of all the change that's happening because we're in the thick of the challenge. We're in the thick of the lesson. We might not even fully see it, but we're actually growing. We're growing so much. So perhaps you're in a season where we're letting go of those leaves. And that is painful. You're letting go of relationships, partnerships. You're pivoting in your business. Perhaps you're even exiting your business for the next thing. Letting go can be painful, but it's also a huge part of growth. Perhaps you're in a season of rest and healing, whether it's from a trauma, a physical injury, somebody in your family is a caretaker. You're requiring yourself to step up and you have to take more care of yourself to be that caretaker. And perhaps you're in a season of abundance. Great. When we compare and despair, we aren't looking at cyclically and seasonally where we are. Perhaps the person that we're comparing to is in their spring or their summer, and we're in our fall or our winter. And that's okay. But why would we compare those when they're totally different seasons? Can you see how insane it is for us to compare to other people's paths? And in case this still hasn't landed for you, another metaphor I love is the iceberg. So when we look at an iceberg, there's so much of the iceberg underneath the water to keep the iceberg afloat in the water. Just like humans and business owners we work with, we look at their legacy, which is their values, their mission, their vision, who they are, what they want to be remembered for, what their Northern Star is, what inspires them, what they're passionate about, what they love about their business, what's their superpower as a human and in their business. All of that's underneath the water that we cannot see until they figure out marketing strategies to share it. And yes, marketing applies even to your personal life. How we brand ourselves is how we think about ourselves, what we believe about ourselves, and that affects what we share about ourselves. Whether it's over coffee with friends, when we're in therapy, when we're doing marketing, when we're on a stage, when we're networking. That's above the water for the glacier. What we're sharing with our message, how we share stories powerfully, reflects who we are, and that's visible to others. And then in sales, how we sell ourselves, whether it's for a relationship, for a job, negotiating a salary, whether you're a business owner selling to a new client. Sales and marketing are parts of our life, no matter whether you're a parent, whether you're a daughter, whether you're a business owner, whether you run a nonprofit. No matter what you do, we all have sales and marketing in our lives. And the big part of why comparison and despairing doesn't work is because there's such a massive part of each of us as individuals that is unseen. And a lot of the times, our individual selves are not very good at expressing and communicating that message. We need mentors, leaders, masterminds, communities, friends to help us see what our superpower is. It's our blind spot. We can't see it. It's under the water even to ourselves. So of course our marketing might not reflect that. We need a community to be able to see that. And this is why it doesn't make sense for us to have perfectionism, to have these crazy, unrealistic standards of ourselves, and to compare and despair to completely unmatched journeys that don't align to who you are. We have no idea what someone else is walking through. But I'm here to remind you, you are a perfect seed growing into a perfect tree of whatever kind of tree you want to be. And perhaps you're in a season of fall and letting go. Perhaps you're in a season of winter and resting and healing and receiving. Perhaps you're in the spring and starting to bloom. Perhaps you're in the summer and playing and having fun. Wherever you are, you're exactly where you're meant to be. And I want you to celebrate that. If this message resonated with you, please share it with someone else who needs to hear it. I see you. I hear you. You are perfect exactly as you are.
Thank you for joining the show today. I hope you were inspired. More importantly, I hope you take action. If the show inspired you, I ask that you subscribe and share it with your network. Let's spread inspiration together today.